That's weird. We have Bela's Knap, which is a chambered tomb. It's on the edge of the valley, where the valley meets the top, overlooking the valley, which is normal for Neolithic tombs. But nearby, on higher ground, slightly higher ground, is Bronze Age round barrow. To the south west is Romano-British pottery and some flint, worked flint. To the west, an Iron Age fort. To the south east is a Bronze Age to Iron Age settlement with a single rampart on a poorly defended. It's not really. I wouldn't really call it a hill fort. North of that, to the east of Bela's Knap, is the Spoonley Wood. More of that on the next episode. And just down the hill to the north of Bela's Knap is a Roman, another Roman villa, Wadfield Farm. Bear in mind that the Anglo-Saxon boundary uses Bela's Knap as a waypoint, which shows it was significant to the people that came after. Several 2.5, 3,500 years later, it was still important.
Seriously, I'm not making it up. I really was genuinely thinking, I wish there would be something playful up here among the trees. And the only thing I could think of was, a swing, because that's what comes to mind. And there was a blooming swing!
This is Bela's Knap. It's 5,000 years old. It's a long barrow. There is. It's not typical of its kind, but it fits within the sort of the pattern book of long barrows of Neolithic monuments. It's a long a stone chambered tomb. There is quite a lot of diversity in it. It's not typical in the sense that it has a false front. Well, not quite. What normally happens with a long barrow is that it's a long mound with a front entrance that has chambers off it with stone roofs. That where you bury your dead. You curate your dead. Bones are moved about and placed in particular places. And we suspect they're brought out for special occasions for what is often a frontal area, a sort of courtyard, and we tend to call them the edges of that courtyard, and we tend to call them horns. And there we think they had ceremonies where they perhaps entertained or engaged the dead. It's not quite, this isn't quite a, well, it is unusual. It's got chambers that go in the side, not from the front entrance, so the dead were buried in side chambers and the back here, and multiple burials. There were 2 burials at the front, in the front entrance. So I think archaeologists in the old days were influenced by a lot by what went on in Egypt, and there were false entrances to stop grave robbers, but there was never anything really of value in these things. This is before metal valuable metals. So it may just been as a diversity in action, creativity, but most of the burials took place the sides and the back. There was continuity. Continuity is important. There is Iron Age or Romano British pottery buried within the so a couple of thousand years later, people were using this site ceremonially. This is after it had finished its first use. It would have been closed up at the beginning of the Bronze Age. So that's interesting. It is a way, as far as the local landscape's concerned, it's a waypoint on. It's a waypoint on the parish boundary. So what you've got is, so this is one of the markers to say which way to go when you're deciding where the land. This is in the Anglo-Saxon period, the Old English. So this is after the Romans. So the Anglo-Saxons had an interest in ancient monuments, where they didn't really have an interest in Roman monuments. So you've got across the valley here, there is a Roman villa, which is quite close to the Anglo-Saxon boundary, but it's not exactly on it, whereas this mound is exactly on. It's a point on the where the Anglo-Saxon boundary takes a right turn. So it was these sort of monuments were of interest to them, but the Roman ones not really, which is a real shame, because we think we can show a continuity of values and ideas and ceremony going way back, probably back to at least the Bronze Age, but possibly to the Neolithic, right the way up to the Romans, and then it sort of changes for the Anglo-Saxons. They're just not interested in Romano British stuff. Well, not really, anyway. This is the front entrance, the so-called false entrance. It has been highly restored. It's been restored a couple of times, this monument, but it's not a bad restoration. It gives a really good feel of what it would have looked like 5,000 years ago. There were a couple of bodies hidden behind here, so the false entrance thing might be completely wrong. But we think there might have been ceremonies. You should be able to see this courtyard effect going on here. It's also worth mentioning, so they would have done ceremonies here and so on. It's worth mentioning that these monuments are very often on the edge of where a ridge, drops away into a valley, which this is. You can't see it because of the woods. But this is right on the bit where it steeply heads down towards the valley, and so in the old days those woods wouldn't have been there. It's also worth mentioning that this is the wrong direction, pointing the wrong direction. A lot of them point towards the east, where the rising sun at midwinter. It's obviously very crucial to them, but this one points north, which is interesting in itself. So again, there is more diversity in ancient monuments than we realise. There would have been artists who would have wanted to stretch their wings, just like artists of our current day, and I think this is an example of that. I don't think it's like a Cotswolds cult or anything, a North Cotswolds idea of religion. But anyway, that's Bela's Knap.